Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to another problem video of electro-pneumatic system. This is the last problem of electro-pneumatic circuit from my problem list. This problem is based on the mixture of delay and counter. So let's see the problem statement. Here the problem states that components are to be stamped using a stamping machine. So my stamping machine is the double acting cylinder. So it is used to push the die attached down to a fixture. So it's like this. I have this double acting cylinder and I have a die fixed here. Die attached down to a fixture 1 second after push button is pressed. So when I press the push button, after 1 second, the cylinder will extend. The die is to return to the initial position upon reaching sufficient stamping time. The die is placed on the cylinder rod. It will stamp to this surface. So when the cylinder extends, then after 2 seconds, it will automatically return to its initial position and the cycle count is 5. So this to and fro motion will happen for 5 times. Then the whole operation will stop. So develop a electro-pneumatic control circuit to implement the control task for the stamping operation. And I have two portions of the problem. Here it says that initial position is sensed by a limit switch. Then the initial position have to be sensed by a read proximity switch. So let's start our solution. First, I need a double acting cylinder with a 5x2 DCV. Both side is solenoid operated. So the left side will be operated by Y1 solenoid and the right side will be Y2 solenoid. Now let's draw the electrical part. First, I have to draw the latching circuit. So this is the start push button. This brake switch will trigger by a counter and the name of the counter is C. This is coil K1 and this make switch will be triggered by K1. Now for the next branch. So this make switch will be triggered by K1 also, and this is a limit switch which will triggered by the A0 position, and this is my on delay timer which is K2. And the question states that the die attached down to a fixture 1 second after push button is pressed. The die return to the initial position upon reaching sufficient stamping time after 2 seconds is reached. So here this time will be 1 second. Now for the next branch. This make switch will sense K2 and this is my solenoid Y1. Continuing. So this is my limit switch which will send A1 position and this is my on delay timer K3 and the delay time is 2 seconds. Now for the solenoid. This make switch senses K3 and this solenoid is Y2. Now for the counter part. The count value is 5. So 5 cycles. And this is my A1, A2 coil and this is my R1, R2 reset circuit. The coil circuit gets activated upon reaching the A1 position. So this is also a limit switch which will sense the A1 position. And the reset circuit is triggered by the start push button. So this make switch will sense the start push button. And this start push button is a push button, so the symbol has to be right. Okay, so now let's see the operation. When I press the start push button, current will flow. K1 energizes. This K1 and K1 closes. A permanent connection is made, so this K1 remains closed. So this is closed and the cylinder is at initial position. So this limit switch is also closed. So there is a connection which will energize this timer relay. And after 1 second, this will trigger this make switch. This make switch closes and a signal will flow here energizing this Y1 solenoid. So the left side of this 5 by 2 DCV energizes, giving signal to the left side of the cylinder and extending the cylinder to A1 position. When A1 position is reached, this limit switch closes. A connection is made. K3 timer relay starts. After 2 seconds, it will give signal to this make switch. This make switch also closes. A signal will flow here, energizing the Y2 solenoid. Y2 solenoid will actuate the right side of this 5 by 2 DCV. And at the same time, this limit switch is also sensing the A1 position. This closes. A connection is made to the A1 A2 coil. So this 5 becomes 4. So now the cylinder retracts, goes to A0 position, and the cycle repeats to this sequence. And this count value becomes 3 from 4. Then it will go 2, 1, and then 0. When it reaches 0, this brake switch, which is sensing the counter relay, opens. So this latching circuit deactivates. K1 isn't energized anymore. So the whole circuit becomes deactivated and the count value remains 0. When I again press the start push button, this make switch will sense that and give a signal to reset coil of this counter, and the count value becomes 5 again, and the cycle continues again. So this is the solution of the problem. The problem statement looks hard, but the solution is very easy. Let's see in the FluidSIM software. Here I have already made the circuit. You can see the time delay value is 1 for the first coil, and this K3 time coil has 2. This counter value will sense 5 event, and then it will give signal to this brake switch. Now let's simulate. Watch very carefully when I press the start push button. So you see the delay coils are working perfectly and the count value is 0 now. When I again press the start push button, this make switch will sense that and it will reset the count value from 0 to 5. Let's see. See, it became 5 and the cycle will repeat again. So that's all for the solution. Now let's see in the B portion of the problem statement. Here the B portion states that initial position is sensed by read proximity switch. I discussed the read switch in this video. Read switch is nothing but a magnetic sensor. So if the sensor senses a magnet, then it will close a contact and signal will flow. Okay, so based on that, can you tell me which part I should change so it becomes the solution? If you are thinking about this part, then you are absolutely right. So this limit switch is sensing the initial position. I just have to replace this limit switch with a read proximity switch. Here you just have to remember the symbol of read proximity switch. So the positive terminal is going to the, I have to mention this 24 volt and 0 volt, and the negative connection is going to the 0 volt. And we have a signal which is going to the K2 timer relay. So if you do that, then you get the solution. Let's go to the FluidSIM to see the working. Here you see I have this magnetic read switch. If I double click this, you see the identification slash label is A0. So it is sensing the A0 position. Here this arrow upward indicates that it is already sensing A0. So let's simulate pressing the start push button. See, the read switch is giving signal. So it's working perfectly as before. Now let's wrap up this session. I solved the last problem from my problem list of electropneumatic system. If you have problems other than which I solved, then please write in the comment. I will make a separate video for that. That's all for today. Allah Hafiz.